Here are 5 talking points from Manchester United's 3-0 victory against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup last night. First off, youngsters' energy. Now look, it was great to see the youngsters getting a run last night. And look, sometimes it's hard to say youngsters because, they've been around and we know their names for so long. Obviously, Garnacho, Pellistri and Hannibal were the 3 standout players last night. I think all 3 of them played really well. And it gave us that energy that we've been probably lacking throughout the entirety of the team in the past few games. It's really good to see. Hannibal especially, I think, has slotted into that central midfield role really, really well, and he's taken his chance, in my opinion, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't get more game time throughout the season. All of a sudden, we're gone from the central midfield area being very thin to, Mason Mount coming back, Hannibal stepping in there, Amrabat is fully fit now as well. So, it's a good, it's a good issue to have, and it's a good headache for Erik ten Hag to have to pick between these players now. Garnacho and Pellistri on the wings, really, really good energy. I love the young kind of, fearlessness from them where they just get the ball, run at defenders. And I think their decision-making, Garnacho especially, his decision-making is really, really good. Pellistri has a little bit to go in terms of, finding that final ball, but it'll come. You can see the kind of, the reminiscence of a player is there, and he really does have the potential, but he just needs to be fine-tuned a little bit more. So really, really happy with the youngsters last night. Next up, Mason Mount is back, and look, it's great to see him back, I have to say. Obviously, again, we go back to what we've said about midfield. It was an area that we were looking to get players back as quickly as possible because we were, basically paper thin. Mason Mount has come under criticism already from Manchester United fans and from opposition fans as well. I think it's absolutely ludicrous that he's getting, criticism after 2 games. Okay, his first 2 games he didn't blow anyone away by any stretch of the imagination. But last night, coming back from injury, I thought he played really well. He looked dangerous. He was getting involved further up the field. I was really happy with his performance. Now again, what does the future hold for Mason Mount within this Manchester United team? Is he going to be in that central midfield role? Is he maybe going to be used off the right-hand side now that we need somebody out there alongside Pellistri? I don't think Pellistri is probably our week-in, week-out starter. I think he's probably still a bit too young for that. So I can see Mason Mount potentially being used on that right-hand side. And again, look, Bruno Fernandes, of course, is more, he's more effective through the middle. But Mason Mount is also a very creative player, so if we can have him on the right-hand side with Bruno Fernandes in the middle, we're going to create an awful lot of chances. And then you're talking about, Rashford, Highland, these types of players to put the chances away. So delighted Mason Mount is back. Now, next up, Anthony Martial scores, and really, really happy to see this. Now, I have to say, I thought he played well last night, and he played well in the short cameo role that he came on last week as well. So it's good to see him back. It's good to see him sharp. Again, I'm not going to hang my hat on Anthony Martial at all because he's just been too unreliable in the past couple of years in terms of injuries and in terms of performances, it has to be said. Now, I think Erik ten Hag got the maximum out of Anthony Martial last year when he was fit. I think his goal to minute ratio was really good last year within the Premier League. He scored some important goals for us when he was available, but it's his availability that's the problem, And we need Anthony Martial as fit as possible this season because Rasmus Højlund can't play every game up front. We know Marcus Rashford doesn't like playing through the middle. He prefers the left-hand side. So we're going to need Anthony Martial to be as fit as he possibly can. And I think it's very important that we manage him through this season and not maybe overload him with games, or training, you would have to say. And I'm sure Erik ten Hag obviously has a training regime for him if that's going to be the case. But look, I think it is important that he stays as fit as possible because we are still very short in the centre forward area, and it's an area where we need our players to stay fit throughout the entirety of the season because if you don't score goals, you don't win games. Simple as that. Now, next up, the Casemiro-Amrabat partnership. And look, we seen Amrabat make his full debut last night at Old Trafford. His interview after it was brilliant. He just seemed so happy. But look, he started at left back. And again, he said in his interview, he said to the manager, look, I'll play wherever you want me to play. I'll play in goal if you want. And that's the kind of attitude we need, within this Manchester United squad. And it's something that Erik ten Hag is trying to build there. Like we said, it's going to take time to get rid of the players that are not really about the team and get in players like Amrabat, who seem to be very much so about the team. But I think it was in the second half when he went into midfield that we really seen Casemiro kind of kick on and improve. Like we said before, so far this season, Casemiro has had an awful lot of work to do. And I think, the people were writing him off at the start of the season, saying this and that and the other. And it kind of nearly harked back to players like Wayne Rooney, for example, back in the day, where, it takes him 3 or 4 games to get going at the start of the season. But all of a sudden, once his fitness levels and his sharpness kind of returns, it just automatically kicks into gear. And we've seen that out of Casemiro last night. And I think Amrabat absolutely helped, because instantly Casemiro knew he didn't have to cover as much ground. He could, maybe screen and scan the game more so than having to run left and right. And I think that's going to be very important this year. I can see Amrabat and Casemiro playing an awful lot of game time together. I think it's going to be a very good partnership, and I think they will complement each other. I think Amrabat, like I said, allows Casemiro to play a more controlled game, and that's vitally important. And I think it will bring Casemiro back to his best. Anybody writing Casemiro off already this season, shame on you. And now, last but not least, the Rashford dilemma. We've seen, obviously, Rashford didn't play a minute last night. He was getting a rest, of course he was. However, Garnacho came on and played really, really well. Scored a goal, looked really, really sharp. Couple of different things that I noticed about Garnacho last night. First and foremost was his work rate in transition. Going back towards his goal, I thought was very good. We've seen him winning tackles last night at the left back position, which is very good. And it's something that he has at the moment that Marcus Rashford doesn't. Now, I'm not saying Marcus Rashford doesn't have that in his game, but he hasn't been showing it an awful lot in the past few games. I think Garnacho's decision-making when he goes forward as well, especially when he's taking on players, is really good. He gets into positions, and if he's overloaded, if it's, 2 defenders, 3 defenders on one, he's got the awareness to stop, turn, look up and make a pass. We've seen too often this season that Marcus Rashford has been running into dead ends when there's 2 or 3 defenders, and he ends up losing possession and so on and so forth. So I think Erik ten Hag has got a real dilemma. Now, look, I do think that it's probably going to be Marcus Rashford anyway, because obviously he's the more senior player and given the season he had last year. But I think if Garnacho can continue to put in some performances like that when he does get the opportunities, he's going to give Erik ten Hag a real headache. And I'm all for it, because regardless of who you are and what your name is and how long you've been at the club, shouldn't determine whether you start all of the time or not. It should be on your performances, on your training, and I think Erik ten Hag is that type of manager anyway. I don't think we have anything to worry about there. So it's a real dilemma. But anyway, guys, look, let me know what you think on all of these points in the comment section below. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers, as you can see up here. Our aim is 5,000 subscribers before Christmas, so if you can help us out, please do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.